So welcome back. So in this we will in this session we will see these various steps, various 5 S's, all the 5 S's. So just to start with, so the 5 S's again means sort in this order. The order is also important, and it's a cyclic process. Start, sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. Okay, these are the 5 S's. Okay, next slide. Thank you. So this is the first step of the 5S methodology, and this is the most critical step. So basically, if the sorting is done very well, the entire 5S methodology will work wonders. Okay, so this is the most critical step, and if there is any lacuna, it will get amplified during the course of the remaining steps of the 5S. So that's why the criticality cannot be over emphasized also. So this is the most critical step. So what it does basically, this step, the objective or the goal is eliminating what is not needed. That what could be tools, method, material, resources, processes, anything you name it in an organization or a setup or a project. So these, like we discussed in the first session, this 5S methodology can be applied for the entire organization or parts of organization or within a department in an organization for even a project. So this can be applied in all levels of the organization. So that's very important. And for the entire organization, if as and when this is applied for the different parts of the organization, the benefits will be seen throughout the organization. Okay. So the elimination of what is not needed, that's what this sort step objective or target is. And it need not be just tools or methods or material. It could be even our thought process, And the next one is keeping what is absolutely needed. So once we know what is not needed, we will have more clarity on what is needed, and then we can in a iterative way we can think of each elements. That's what it is. So what does it do? It basically creates a space free of clutter. So I have put space and clutter within quotes because the space need not be just the physical space, So that's why even in our mind there will be clutters, and we can sort things out. In fact, we do it, subconsciously and automatically. But if you do it in a conscious way, we will create a lot of space in our mind as well. And as I said, this is the first step. It lays the groundwork for the remainder of the 5S methodology. And to emphasize again, the correct sorting ensures successfully implementation of the 5S. And the thumb rule for sort is, if you do not use it, it could be anything on a regular basis, throw it out. So this is the thumb rule with which the sort step of the 5S methodology has to be followed. And when we discuss in the tomorrow's session, when we discuss the tools and the techniques, we will elaborate on the different there are different strategies for sorting, and depending on the domain, depending on the type of service or product or industry or academia, the nuances and strategies will be different. We will discuss some cases, but in this session we will go over and elaborate a little bit on the each step. That's what the objective of this session is. Okay, next slide please. This just to illustrate in a typical office environment. If you see these things, it looks like it's a semi order. It's not totally disordered, except maybe the bottom middle picture and the top right. There is some kind of an order is there, but these leads to a lot of opportunities in sorting things. Whenever we see things or a situation where things are not in order, or things are in a random state, basically that's where the trigger should come to have this 5S methodology, and we see it as an opportunity and start with the starting process. This just to give a visual example for when this 5S methodology should be immediately thought about and start implementing it. Okay, and again, I wish to reiterate that this is not just for physical space or materials or tools. This is for the entire spectrum, even from our thought process. We have to do this. We can apply these methodologies. Okay. Next slide, please. Yeah. So next is set in order. So now that we have sorted, we have sorted things out, what do we do with that? Then we have to set in order. So basically the mantra is everything has a place and everything in its place. So this is the two key thing. So there should be space for everything, and that everything is what has been sorted in the previous step. Apologies for that, formatting issues. Yeah. And in the place designated for the things, it should be there. So that's what it means. Okay. So this is the process of putting everything in a place for easy access. So the key word here is easy access. When we say everything, again, it means not just material and tools. It could be everything. Everything, even from our thought process. So we should know when to think about certain things, and what are the processes we need to do, and those things we would take care in the sort step, and we would put that in a particular place. Okay. And there are some key things we have to undertake in this step is we have to clearly mark the items and their location. So we have to mark the items and we have to mark the location where they belong. So if you look at these slides or presentation, it may give an impression or a perception that we are dealing only with material objects or equipments, but this is only for easy communication and visualization of this process. That's why I keep on emphasizing that this can be done in other things, all other endeavors and all other domains. So that we are not biased by these limitation in the vocabulary or communication. Okay. And another important thing when it comes to this setting process is grouping of items. So there should be, if similar or analogous items is there, we have to think in terms of grouping. That's what is the key. And basically this should be a consistent and standardized way to store and retrieve objects or items. So that's the target of for this step of the 5S. In the previous sort step, the target or the objective was to eliminate what is not needed and keeping things what is absolutely necessary. And in this step, basically we'll have a consistent and standardized way to store those things which we are going to keep it and to retrieve them easily. Okay. Next slide, please. These are some examples, what the set in order means. So the left one, it gives you for the tools, how orderly they are kept. Yeah, I understand it takes a little more, time and effort to get this done, but believe me, at the end of the day or the week or whatever, the shift timing or whatever for your process, if you follow this set in order, it greatly helps in improving the efficiency when you come back the next time or the next day or the next shift or whatever. Okay. And this is for the tools, and the right one is circuit board. So functionally both may be working, but when things break or when you have to do service, the one on the right is is going to be much easier and more efficient, and would take less effort from our end. So this just to give some visual example of what this set in order target is. Okay. Next slide, please. Now we will move on to that shine. So basically, this quotation, I believe it's from previous century, captures the shine step very well. Its cleanliness is next to godliness. So when we mean clean, again, it's worth reiterating and repeating. We don't mean just physical cleanliness. Even in our thought process, in our thinking, the process, methodology, all these things, we have to keep it clean, not just the physical space. In the quotation, of course, it refers to hygiene and physical cleanliness, but this is captures the essence of the shine step of the 5S methodology quite powerfully. That's why this quote I have put it here. So basically, in this step, what we do is we will have a scheduled cleanup and inspection. These are the two key things, scheduled cleanup and inspection. And this could be daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. It depends really on your process, your type of organization. There is no set or a fixed formula or method. It really depends on your nature of work. It even depends on what do we say, the climatic conditions also. It depends. You may have to adjust the, let's say there is an instrument which is very sensitive for temperature or humidity. So the cleanup routine will vary depending on that changes in the pattern. So we can't have a set formula or one stop solution. It really depends. You have to really understand your processes and materials, methods, and tools to come up with a scheduled cleanup and inspection. Certain things you have to do it daily. Typically, in a very factory setup, which involves various key component manufacturing and a huge turnover and a lot of people involved and shift changes, people do daily cleanups too. It's part of their job requirement. And of course, when it comes to hygiene and things like that, we do daily cleanups. So that's one. So in this step, what you develop is you basically develop a set of protocol, and you parameterize the performance for your process, tools, and materials, everything. You have some parametric evaluation of these cleanliness and the shine steps. So that's what we do in this step. Basically, we develop some protocols for the cleaning schedule and how to clean and what to clean and all those things, and then it is based on the parametric evaluation for the performance. So it is not just the inspection of the output of shine step. It should reflect in the output and outcome of your processes and steps involved in your organization or entity. Okay. Next slide, please. Yeah. Next, what we do is standardize. So why do we standardize? So that there is no room for uncertainty. So you may recall in the previous thing we talk about consistent and the standard way. So it's there built in already in the standard set in order step. But here we do all the three things. So it's a sequential thing. We start with sort and then set in order, then shine. All these three things we standardize.
So basically the purpose for this step is to ensure that we are doing things consistently, and more importantly, there is no room for uncertainty. So that's the main purpose of this standardized step. So what is the key tool we use is SOPs, standard operating procedures. And like mentioned in the previous session, we can use internal and external specs and standards for implementing this step. So it is left to us. In certain, well-defined industries, they use external specs and standards. Well-defined, well-evolved, and well-developed industries, they use the uh, standard specs, which is for their industry. But for other industries or other domains, we can evolve our own internal spec and internal standards. So that is the standardized step. Next slide, please. Yeah, the last one is sustain. So we can relate this step to the improvement principle of quality management system. So it is not enough that we sort, set in order, shine, and standardize. We need to sustain it. We need to have a culture to hold and excel the gains we made. And basically, it is a continual improvement cycle. So that's why, like the PDCA cycle or any management system cycle, principle or methodology, this is also cyclic. So we should keep on doing this so that it takes from one step to another. To give an example, maybe with this example, we will come to an end of this session, and then the next session we will have elaborate on the tools and methods. Let's say, in fact, this is a real anecdote from one of my friends, who is a factory in charge. So when he started implementing the 5S methodology first time, it's basically a chemical engineering industry. So the objective for the program, he had put it as if we want to get any material from the factory was about 10 acres or something. They had set a timeline, like within 10 minutes they should bring it. So that is the kind of an objective. So this is for well-developed implementation step. I'm jumping the gun and giving an example for a developed 5 years implementation, but not for initial. We cannot have such intense target. So in the third year after the implementation, so you had set the target as 5 minutes. So that was the target. Unless we follow these all the 5 methods, there is no way somebody can get any material or anything within 5 minutes. That's what. And of course they had parameters like depending on the type of material department that they can grade. Okay. So after a few cycles of the 5 years methodology, we can't have the same 5-minute target because things would have been in place for a long time. So you have to reduce the target. That's where the sustain and continual seconds you can make it like 4 or 3 or whatever is practically possible. So that's what this sustain step means. So whatever gains we have gotten in the first 4 steps, we have to sustain it. Otherwise, like the shine step, there is the entropy will kick in again, and the disorderliness will start, and we have to start from all over again. So that's why this step is very critical as well. And of course, for the next cycle, it will start with sort again and end with the sustain process. I think this is the last slide, I believe. Yeah, can you go to the next slide, please? Yeah. So the next session, tomorrow, we will discuss the tools and techniques for the 2-step sort and setting order. These 2 steps, we will elaborate a little bit with more examples and the tools which are there in place to have these steps. So with this, we come to an end for the presentation, and depending on the questions, we can have a Q&A session now. Um, so are there any questions? I didn't check the chat window. Are there any questions?
None so far, sir. I haven't seen any questions. I'm just running through it quickly now.
Okay.
Yeah, no questions so far.
Okay. Maybe we will ask the participants. We can take any questions live if there is any.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Thank you for being a wonderful audience. Please shoot questions if you have any. You can just like unmute and ask the presenter.
Yeah, maybe there is none so far. So maybe we will maybe we call it.
Sure, sir. Okay. So we could maybe, like you said, we could close the session for today. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir, for presenting such a fantastic webinar. So, like you already said, tomorrow we'll be diving deep into the tools and techniques that are used in the 5S methodology. So, stay tuned, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. See you all tomorrow. Thank you. So, thank
Yeah,
you very much, and we'll meet again tomorrow.
yeah. Thank you all.